Amidst today's turmoil, many investors are contemplating whether they should liquidate some holdings, whether they should invest in companies whose prices have been beaten up, or if they should sit on their hands and get a better handle of the situation. Since each comes with its own unique risks, I am repeatedly being asked, how do I know that I am making the best decision? So let me address that by saying that when it comes to investment decisions, there is rarely a quote-unquote best, and there's absolutely no perfect decisions. There are only reasonably good and ostensibly bad decisions, and there are several reasons why perfect investment decision-making is a myth in and of itself. The first challenge to perfect decision-making is the nonlinearity of investment decisions. To most people's chagrin, investing is much closer to poker than it is to chess, as it's a game with incomplete information. It's both part art and part science and involves an element of luck, so risk management is paramount. And by considering the number, the size, and the probability of the bets being taken, both poker players and investors could produce exceptional results, even while being wrong 40% of the time. In making decisions about the future, we must calculate the probability of our desired outcomes, what we're willing to bet on being right, and what we're prepared to lose if we're wrong. That's how someone who loses 40% of their bets can still end up with 100% of the pot. The challenge is that the average investor cannot ascribe perfect probabilities to specific future outcomes. This makes it difficult to distinguish between that which is possible and that which is probable, which in turn makes it difficult to be certain about what will be profitable. The second challenge to perfect decision-making is the involvement of luck. The role of luck is perhaps the hardest for most people to digest, as foolish investors could get lucky and savvy investors could get unlucky. That means that good decisions and good outcomes aren't always aligned. Some reckless endeavors have a positive outcome, so for example, playing Russian roulette and then surviving. Conversely, some protective endeavors, like putting your savings in a bank, could have a bank that collapsed, could have a bad outcome. As such, the quality of a decision cannot be solely based on its outcome. But since outcomes are observable while risk is not, the best decisions, quote unquote, are rarely obvious. The third challenge to perfect decision making is the absence of immediate feedback. Researchers have shown that when doctors claimed that a patient had a 90% chance of having pneumonia, they were correct only 15% of the time. Whereas when weather forecasters predicted 90% chance of rain, they were correct 90% of the time. The difference between a doctor and a weather forecaster is the gap between the prognosis and the feedback. We see the weather every minute, allowing meteorologists to adjust and refine their assessment. Whereas treatments and perhaps investments can take weeks, months, and years to prove themselves. And investors have one more complication, a subjective time horizon. One person requires a specific outcome in 3 years and another in 10. Each will have a different decision-making calculus and feedback needs, and that all compounds the challenge of the decision-making process. So no, neither you nor anyone else will make perfect decisions. No one can definitively tell you if you should buy or sell or wait. There will be no indicators to say the coast is clear. The best we can do is make directionally good decisions that align with our needs, where the risk of loss is smaller than the prospect of gain, materially smaller. And even if we're wrong in our assessment, the bets are small enough that we'll live to remedy it. Perhaps if we accept the imperfection of all our investment decisions, will become better equipped to make them.